Hi guys, my name is Erin and this is The Writer Scene. Today I wanted to tell you guys pretty much about info dumping, so what it is, how to avoid it, or just how to get rid of it altogether. Info dumping is pretty much telling the reader a lot about a character or anything really, but for this video, a character, kind of just get it all in. Seems to be the average of what people tend to say is 2 paragraphs or more, and you're just filling them in with everything they need to know. But people tend to overdo it by stating it when really some of the things they are stating can simply just be shown or just not told in this very moment in this very chapter, and you can see it either throughout the chapters or like sprinkle it along other chapters. Pretty much was explaining this in an Amino that I'm a part of today because I run a world building class in the Amino, but I thought I would share that with you guys, and I'm going to be using an example of pretty much just normal average human character. The most common way that you tend to see this, especially on Wattpad, which is a writing site for authors, aspiring writers to share their work. This is the most common way you tend to see it, but there are multiple other ways that this can happen. This is just the one that I see the most. I'm going to start off by giving you pretty much the bullet points of this character, and then I'm going to tell you the structured version of it that you will see it in. Screen timed out. This character has blonde hair, blue eyes, male, 17 years old, passive or shy, and his favorite color is green, and he is single. All of these details aren't really needed to be stated. There's a lot of things that you can honestly just take out of the statement piece of this. I'm going to move on into the way that people tend to write it. Derek was my best friend. He had blonde hair and blue eyes and honestly was pretty shy. Then again, he was an average 17-year-old boy. Today he had decided to wear a green shirt for whatever excuse, insert filler excuse here. It was also his favorite color. That is just a tiny amateur, often seen way of info dumping. There is many better ways that you can say that or articulate and get that point across. One of the ways that you can do this is introducing him and just giving us his name and what he looks like, completely avoiding color of his shirt. No one probably cares about that. I mean, you can tell us the color of his shirt if you want to, but we don't need to know that it's his favorite color unless his favorite color is going to foreshadow something in the future or donate to the plot. And the reason you don't really need to say all of this in one paragraph or all at one time is mostly because when people are info dumping and describing a character or describing a character in general, there's hair color, the eye color, their body shape, and truthfully, most readers don't remember all of that. They will probably read your physical description that you're giving them, and they will probably summarize it in their head and they'll put a stereotype to it. If you have a girl that you describe that has black hair and wears short shorts, really thick eyeliner and dark lipstick and dark shoes, your reader's probably going to say, okay, she's goth or darkly inclined, or she's one of those people kind of intimidating when you walk up to her. Then they're just going to run with that, but they're not going to remember every single thing that you've listed out for them, which is why you don't need to put it all in one spot. I know as writers we tend to make a big deal out of eye color with the whole blue eyes, green eyes, or if you're fantasy, you know, and using crazy color eyes, you know, purple. We make a big deal out of that. But again, the character probably won't remember that until like feed them another line in a later chapter where you're like, they're staring into each other's eyes, and then you're obviously going to mention it there and probably put in some beautiful metaphor. If they're not going to remember it, you might not want to make too big a deal of it. Another detail you probably don't need to 100% state. You can if you want to, but one detail that you don't really need to state is that your character, or Derek in our case, character is 17 years old. Is it nice to know that the character is 17-year-old? Yes. Are they going to remember that he's exactly 17 years old? Probably not. If you're writing a young adult book and it takes place in high school, you kind of already know what age they're at. Maybe not exactly, but you know the age range. It's going to be somewhere between 15 and on the edge of 18. That is what they're going to assume, unless you know you're writing a book where, you know, there's like a little genius child and that child's like 10 and they're in high school. Then you might want to state it, but other than that, you kind of already know most likely what their age is, especially if it's a romance novel. You know, they'll probably be on the 5th. And then you'll give them even more hints because you're probably going to do this without thinking. You're going to be like, okay, it's my first day in high school. They're obviously a freshman, so they're like 15. You'll obviously be on the lower edge of that age scale. Or if they're a senior and they're ready to graduate, you're going to guess they're 17 and a half going on like 18, somewhere near there. You're going to assume those things. So you don't have to outright state it. You'll probably accidentally mention it anyway by giving little hints. I see a lot of people doing this favorite color thing. It's okay to have it in your character reference sheet profile thing, but I don't know if the favorite color really needs to make it to your draft or your final draft. I don't really know if it needs to make it all the way down there unless you're trying to like prove a point, like he wore green today because today's Earth Day and he's showing his support for this, that. Other than that, his favorite color doesn't really say much about character and pretty much just his favorite color. Or one more simpler example of this is a character decides to dye their hair a really crazy color. In this instance, again, he'd be dyeing his hair green. People might be like, why would you do that? And he's gonna be like, because it's my favorite color and I can and I want to, so I'm going to. There's no need to say it. You can pretty much probably add like green accessories to him or just make him wear green a lot, and I think people will get it. Another thing that you don't really need to tell your reader or info dump on your reader is that this character is a passive character or shy. You're gonna get this done even if it's a main character. If the character is important as to everyone, like let's say sitting at a cafeteria table and everyone's talking and you point out that he's there but the reader pretty much never hears him donate any tips or what they should do in this scenario, if he's not donating the conversation, we're gonna guess that, you know, he's kind of holding back, might not be saying what he really wants to say, or he just doesn't care. Or if he's gonna ask out a girl to prom, he stutters a lot, and when she finally ultimately rejects him or, you know, declines his offer to prom, you know, he's thinking to himself, okay, well, I tried, you know, I guess I should have suspected this, and he kind of walks off and he doesn't fight for it. Again, shy. As the chapters go on, it'll pretty much explain his character as it is. You don't have to say it. You can show it. Basically, I guess one thing you could say is that showing and not telling cancels out info dumping. There really are no exceptions for info dumping because it's just A, really tedious for you to write, and B, really tedious for your reader to actually read. And I think everyone who's ever been on Wattpad has spotted this structure, whether it be subconsciously or consciously. Honestly, if you went to Wattpad right now, I'm pretty sure you'd see it all over the place because, like I said, it is something that amateur writers tend to do. Not that that automatically makes you an amateur writer, but it's very common for beginners to write this way, teenagers to write this way. I see a lot of people actually tend to write like that for a very long time before they learn that they shouldn't do that, which is one reason I decided to make this video, to help people out, and hopefully they'll stop doing it, even though they probably don't realize that it's called info dumping. And it's a thing, and it shouldn't be in your book. And how people tend to shove it. Usually it's always like in the first 2 to 3 chapters, mostly in chapter 1 when you're introducing the main character and describing how beautiful she is or he is. It's not natural, and honestly it's just a really slow start for a book because I want to say at least 80% of the time you're gonna have the opening of a book about someone getting ready for school, and they're gonna be brushing their red hair, they'll be looking at the mirror at their brown eyes trying to figure out whether they should wear a red dress to bring out the color in their eyes and what the hair looks like, and all of those details. You know, the typical mirror scene. The mirror scene is pretty much a gateway to info dumping because they're looking at themselves and being observant of how they look and everything. A, don't info dump, and B, don't use the mirror scene because it's cliche and it's wrong. Find another way to do it and don't use it in the first chapter. So that's 3 things. Again, spreading it out among the entire novel. Perhaps maybe just not like the complete end of the novel. The last thing I do want to say about the info dumping on the characters' descriptions as far as human characters is that there's someone probably going, oh no, but if I don't info dump it and I don't get it all in those first few paragraphs, I'm gonna forget to write it. If you forget to write it, that means it probably wasn't important to begin with and it donates nothing to the plot. So you might be better off forgetting to write it than writing in things that you don't need. On to our mythical, magical creatures in fantasy, my favorite. In my first book, The Day Zeron Fell, I created a creature, and if I'm remembering this correctly, it is a very small creature, kind of like 3 feet tall, short, is blue-skinned, white pupilless eyes, little sharp razor teeth. It's called a Nikomon, and it speaks a different language that's not English. I do tell you these things when it's first introduced, mostly because it is an alien, and fantasy gives you a little bit of leeway for how much you need to describe. And with it being an alien character, you know, you can't just kind of automatically assemble what it looks like in your brain. So you do get to talk a little bit more about it, but at the same time I also give the alien creature mannerisms while he is making a sale to my main character. So the mannerism is he sells the item to the main character, and he does this little cute happy dance that is like universally known as like an approved selling or exchange between the creature and whoever the customer is. You know a little bit about his character because they meet in a black market, and I don't have problems telling you this because this is in like chapter 1 or 2. His mannerisms will help you in that as well. I didn't go into too much detail with that character, even though he's only in that one part of the book. Honestly, it's not a main character at all. He gets to be described that way because he is an alien, but I still don't overdo it by telling you about all of the freckles and bumps and spots that he might have, or you know that he has like 20 legs or limbs and 15 arms or something. You know, you don't overdo it. You know, I just kept it really simple. His skin color is peculiar, his eyes are larger than normal, and they have no pupils, and he has little razor teeth, and you're obviously going to see his teeth because he's going to be talking to her in a different language, and that donates to his character because it kind of tells you, you know, what he eats, and he needs sharp teeth. But that's just enough detail to let you know as a reader that this character, it is 100% alien. It is fantasy, and as far as I'm concerned, it's an original creature that I designed. I'm not 100% sure, but as far as I'm concerned, there's no creatures that really look like that I have read about anyway. You know, you don't have to get it all out in one chapter. It's not good for you and developing or growing as a writer, and it's not good for the people who are stuck reading it, because if you've ever opened up a book, your friend's book, manuscript, and you open it up and you read something like that, I promise you probably skim past the first 3 chapters if it starts like that, and you're just like, okay, anyway, you know, you move on to the actual action of the chapter. And this happens like a lot. It's crazy. It's definitely people's writing flaw. Definitely guilty of having done this a lot. I probably did it in like the first 10 attempts of writing a book. 10 different books growing up since like 6th grade to like maybe 9th grade. I made that mistake so many times. As far as going back and changing info dumps, delete, spread it out. Spreading it out is your friend. And if you do that, you should pretty much be safe. That's all I had to say about info dumping for mythical creatures and human creatures. I hope this helped you. If you'd like to support me and my channel, you can hit the subscribe button down below. Like it. Can also comment on what you want the next video to be, and tell me how your book's coming along. And have you info dumped before? Did you know what info dumping was before you watched this video? As well as just tell me how your day was. I'll also put links below to both of my books if you want to check those out. I have 2 fantasy novels. One is The Day Zeron Fell, which is what I mentioned in this video, which is a fantasy adventure. And the other one is The Realm Painter, which is more of a contemporary fantasy or parallel fiction. Again, that will be linked below. They're available on Amazon. I hope you guys have a nice day. Bye!